Hello again, my beautiful peeps, Jamaican youth in the building again. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the sumptuous Gold Cup semi-final match between Jamaica and Mexico in the Allegiant Stadium up there in Las Vegas, Nevada on Wednesday, July 12th. And yes, that is a very important match, very interesting match it's going to be. You know, we're down to 4 teams left in the semifinal: Jamaica versus Mexico, and of course the United States versus Panama. And yeah, it's the top 4, pretty much the top 4 teams in the tournament left. And I am here to talk about Jamaica versus Mexico. You know, it's going to be a tough match. Make no doubt about it. It's going to be a tough, challenging, and interesting match. But it's going to be a tough match for Mexico too. It's not just going to be a tough match for Jamaica. It's going to be a tough match for Mexico as well. Jamaica has, locked hands with Mexico very well over the last 2 games that they played. Remember, Jamaica met Mexico in the Nations League in Jamaica, where they drew 1-1. And also when we met them back at the Azteca Stadium, where we drew 2-2. So, it's been a stalemate for a while now. And I think, obviously, someone will have to come out on top in this game at the Allegiant Stadium. But who is it going to be? So interesting. So we're going to get into that. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask you to hit the like button, as it helps to send the video out to a lot of different eyes. And also, if you haven't subscribed, to hit the subscribe button, as it helps the channel to grow, and we'd like the channel to grow as much as possible. Your help definitely helps. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Jamaica versus Mexico, semi-final Gold Cup. Really interesting. Really exciting. Jamaica has done well. You look at Jamaica's record, we are unbeaten so far. So in the tournament, Jamaica is unbeaten. Drew our first tournament game with the United States 1-1. A game many will agree that we could have won. But since that game, we have won all our games. Beaten St. Kitts, beaten Trinidad, beaten Guatemala, and now we're in the semifinals. Mexico, on the other hand, is not unbeaten. They have lost to Qatar. They won, 2 of their opening group stage games, but they lost to Qatar, a game that was very lopsided. Mexico seemed to have played the better football, but just wasn't able to break down Qatar, and lost to Qatar. But in the semifinal, or in the quarterfinal, they played against Costa Rica, and they came up 2-1 winners over Costa Rica. I personally think that Costa Rica's approach probably hurt them. They tried to play a better brand of football than Mexico plays, meaning that they play the same brand of football that Mexico plays, but they tried to beat Mexico at their own game. They tried to out Mexico, and that didn't work, and Mexico walked away with the win. This Mexico side, it's very, the jury's out, as I said. Are they the type of Mexico team that we have seen in the past, the dominant type of Mexico team? Is it that they're not dominant because their team is weak? Or is it that they're not dominant because the rest of CONCACAF is catching up with them and they can't dismantle teams in the way that they used to in the past? Or is it that the football has just not evolved at the same pace as, say, the United States? All of those questions, the jury is out where that is concerned. But we'll see what happens on the Jamaica side. Jamaica's football has improved. Jamaica has recruited a lot of players with Jamaican heritage from England to play in Jamaica, mixed with a lot of local players, local-born Jamaican players, and now Jamaica looks like a pretty formidable team on the world stage, and at least in the region. And I think eventually in the world stage, Jamaica will match up pretty well with the likes of the Mara Gray, Leon Bailey, Mikel Antonio, Bobby Reid, and so on. Andre Blake, Damian Lowe, and you name them, we look like a really formidable team. If you look at Jamaica versus Mexico, man for man, one could make the argument that Jamaica has the better crop of players. Now, whether that plays out to be a better team when we play Mexico, we shall see. I am definitely rooting for Jamaica to win. I think Jamaica can pull off the win, but it's not going to be as easy as the and not that the Guatemala game was easy, but it's we were kind of expected to beat Guatemala. I don't know that we are the favorites against Mexico. One would say it's two strong CONCACAF teams. And so, what will the outcome be? So, I'm here to talk about some things that Jamaica can do to win this game. As the coach said, Mexico is going to be a similar opponent to Guatemala. He says that Guatemala is pretty much, or Mexico is pretty much going to do the same thing that Guatemala do, except that Mexico just have better individual players. So his point of view is that it's going to be the same thing, but they have better individual players. They are going to come with a lot more intensity, and so Jamaica has to match that. So here are some things I think Jamaica need to do. Number one, take a similar approach to Guatemala, but with higher intensity. I think that, as I had said in a previous video, that playing Guatemala would be a really good preparation for Mexico, to play Mexico. So we got that experience playing against a team with that style, so we kind of have an idea of what to expect. However, the intensity is going to be necessary. A higher intensity is going to be necessary because Mexico is more clinical than Guatemala. Mexico is not going to flub chances like Guatemala. Guatemala got a one-on-one chance with the goalkeeper in the last game, and obviously Andre Blake was outstanding. He was the man of the match. But if you give Mexico a chance like that, it might not end up the same way. So come with the higher intensity. I'm still going to say to press Mexico on the ball. Not going to say high press, because that means that you're going deep in their half to press them. But I know one of the suggestions, one of the things that we notice with Jamaica against Guatemala is that we never really pressed them as much on the ball. They pressed us, but we didn't press them. So I think we kind of need to press them a little bit more, or at least Mexico, make them uncomfortable on the ball. Just make them a little bit uncomfortable on the ball. And do the same thing that works against Guatemala. Shut them down on the wings and stay compact in the middle. That's kind of what we were trying to do against Guatemala. Stay compact in the middle, and that will minimize the opportunity for them to come down the middle and take shots. Now, Mexico are going to take better shots outside the box than Guatemala would have taken. So even though I was a little bit less concerned or more comfortable with Guatemala kicking shots from outside the box, I personally think Guatemala is not as strong a team as Mexico, so most of those shots would have been low probability shots. So with Mexico, it's going to be a little bit different. A lot of those shots are probably going to be on target. It's going to trouble the keeper a little bit more. It's going to look a little bit more dangerous. So we have to really close them down, and that's going to require a lot more intensity. Number two, be patient on the ball and, allow Mexico to play our game. Do not try to match Mexico's game. They're going to run, hard. No, we need to be more intense in terms of pressing them on the ball. But when we have the ball, we need to play our game and not try to, out Mexico like Costa Rica tried to do. Don't do that. But at least press them on the ball. But when we have the ball, be patient on the ball. Try to knock the ball around, especially in the back of our half. Get comfortable on the ball and build into their half. Build into their half just kind of like what we were doing, and in some cases trying to do against Guatemala, until we can build up in front of their goal and kick to goal. Now, if they're high pressing us, because there's a strong possibility that Mexico will, they have done this in the past, where you know how Mexico play. They come out very fast, very strong. They're running at you, and they try to keep up that intensity as quick as much as possible because they want to get an early goal against you. So, keep knock around the ball, try and build in their half, and kind of at least a little bit slow the game down to Jamaica's pace. At a pace where we're comfortable and not try to out Mexico. As I said, now if they're pressing us too much, we can go over the top, because that works for us too. When they're pressing us a lot, we can go over the top, we can win the second ball, and then take them on there. That approach worked well for us when we played them in the Azteca Stadium. If you remember, the goal that Bobby Reid scored, that wonder goal that Bobby Reid scored down in the Azteca Stadium, was a ball where we went over the top. And I think a Mexican defender headed it, or a Jamaican forward, I think maybe Shamar Nichols headed it, and Bobby Reid ran onto it and struck it into the back of the net. So that works for us too. So if Mexico comes out and presses us too much, we can go over the top and win the second ball and score from there. Number 3, put away our chances. Put away your chances. This is the semifinals. You know what I mean? Like, just like I was saying before, in the group stages, you get a certain amount of chances. In the quarterfinals, you get even less chances. Even though Jamaica had the ball a lot around Guatemala's final third, we didn't really get a lot of clear-cut chances to the goal, even though we had the ball a lot around their goal area. That was the quarterfinals. This being the semifinals, it's going to be even less. It's going to be more intense because every team is fighting for survival. Every team wants to go to the finals. So we have to keep the ball. We have to take the chances that we get. Whatever chances come, we need to put them away. I mean, it goes pretty much for any game that we play, but especially the semifinal, whenever you're in front of goal, you get an opportunity, we need to put them away, because if you don't put away your chances, you're going to find yourself on the losing side, because you're not going to get a lot of chances to begin with. So if you don't put them away, you might find yourself on the losing side, and we don't want that. We want to, take our chances and win the game, and again, there will not be a lot of chances to begin with. So take them when you get them. Number 4, no major defensive errors, or none at all. Don't make any defensive errors. I said no major defensive errors, but man, we need to probably be perfect at the back with Mexico. We really don't have any room for error with Mexico, because they will punish you. Mexico will punish you. They are that type of team that if there is any type of error, they're the type of team that will punish you for the errors that you make. They won't be as lenient as Guatemala, if they get the chance, from a defensive error, we just can't allow ourselves to make any major defensive error or any errors at all. We also can't allow ourselves to be jumped in the box. Remember, these are some of the ways we always tend to lose, or always tend to get scored on against Central American opposition or Latin American opposition. They cross the ball in the box, and even though we're taller than them, for some reason they get to jump us or meet the ball before us and hit the ball in the back of the net. Mexico is especially good at that. So we cannot allow that to happen. And the best way to do it is to close them down on the wings. I kind of mentioned that at the beginning already, in terms of taking a similar approach to playing Guatemala. Don't allow them to put the ball across, because, we tend to not do very well with those in the past, or we have not done very well with those in the past. So let's be mindful of that and not allow, the Mexicans to head the wall to goal in the box. We have tended to concede goals like this in the past. Let this game not be a game that we concede like that. So we close them down on the wings. We stay compact in the middle and limit their shots from outside the box. And stay compact in the middle and shut them down like that. It's a similar approach that we would take to Guatemala, but we have to be lights on. We have to be lights on because it's going to be more intense. And then finally, to close out the game, we cannot afford to lose concentration in the latter parts of the game. I believe Jamaica will score. I believe that at some point in the game, Jamaica will lead in this game. But we have to keep our collective heads cool because Mexico, when you score on them, they're coming back at you really hard. And we tend to lose concentration when that happens. But especially in the latter part of the game, if you go back and look again, when in Kingston, when we were leading them 1-0 towards the latter part of the game, like I think it was in the final 10 minutes of the game, they scored. I think one of the games we lost to them 2-1. That's what happened too. So we have to take all of these lessons into consideration when we play against Mexico. So we need to close out the game. Again, for me, closing out the game don't mean to just hunker down and stay in the box and allow Mexico to just use the last 10 minutes of the game as shooting practice at our goalkeeper. When I'm talking about closing out the game, possession of the ball is important. If you have the ball, they can't attack you. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have the ball some of the times, but we can't give them the last 10 minutes where they have the ball alone and we don't. So we can't just stay in our box and expect them to come at us and we're just going to keep them off of that. That hasn't worked in the past and I don't think that's going to work. So close out the game by possessing the ball, but keeping calm, keeping composed on the ball, not losing concentration, not making any major errors, and I think any major defensive errors, and I think we'll be good. Try and score more, making sure that we score more than 1 goal. I know we beat Guatemala by 1-0, but I still believe it's important for us to go after many goals, especially when it comes down to a team like Mexico. So those are my 5 things I think Jamaica need to do to beat Mexico. Take a similar approach to Guatemala. Be patient on the ball and build into Mexico's half. Put away the chances that we get, which involves scoring more than 1 goal. No major defensive errors or none at all. Just be perfect at the back and then close out the game. Not losing concentration or conceding any goal towards the end of the game. So go, Reggae Boyz. I'm very pumped. Looking forward to the game at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. I think I'm predicting a win for Jamaica. I'm predicting a win. I'm being bold. Predicting a win. I think it's going to be a close affair, but especially with the Mexican fans there, they're going to outnumber the Jamaican fans. But it doesn't matter. If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. And this is it. It's likely if we're going to win this Gold Cup, we're going to have to beat Mexico and the US. And, let's do it. Look, it will do a world of good for our rankings. It will do a world of good for our standing in CONCACAF. I think, there'll be more respect for us. Even some of the pundits on ESPN are now saying that Jamaica are one of the favorites to win this Gold Cup. So I believe so too, but we have to behave, take the approach that we are underdogs because, in this game against Mexico, at least we're the underdogs. Even though some people see Jamaica as the favorites, I think we're the underdogs. But, we are a strong challenger. I think we're up for the challenge. And as I said, I think we will win this game. So I'm going to leave it there, everyone. On your way out, I'm going to ask you to smash the like button and hit the subscribe button. Your support really helps. And, cheer on the Reggae Boyz. Send some positive vibrations out there to them. Send a nice message to the players and just let them know that we're 100% behind them and we want them to win this game and we want them to eventually win the Gold Cup. All right, so until next time, everybody, take care of yourself. I'm out.